Um, Today we just want to give an introduction to the course and introduce each other to each other. Let me start out. I'm a Massachusetts lawyer, occasional law professor, was a legal aid lawyer many years ago, and I'm a law school clinical teacher. And I've made my living in recent years mostly dealing with various forms of legal technology, including document assembly and expert systems, and I've worked very closely with this LawHelp Interactive project since the inception. We've done this course a number of times in person and 3 or 4 times now online. We keep trying to tweak it and make it better, and we welcome you to the latest iteration, and we appreciate your feedback, critical or otherwise. But let me pass it quickly to Jessica Bonlick-Frank, who is one of our co-presenters. Jessica, you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Frank. I'm A to J Authors Project Manager. I've been working on the A to J Author project for about 6.5 years now. And like Mark, I've also taught this training course several times, at least once or twice a year. And I handle all of our A to J Author software development, our training materials, and any one-on-one tech support that you need related to A to J. So I'll be covering the beginning of a class in 2 weeks, and then some A to J specific stuff at the end of this training series. Thanks.
Thank you, Jessica. Bart, introduce yourself, please.
Sure. This is Bart Earl with Capstone, along with my colleague Mark. I've been using hot docs and developing templates for about 20 years, some of that time overlapping with practicing law, which I did for about 20 years as well, and been doing hot docs trainings for the last 18 years or so.
Thank you, Bart. You guys will come to know Bart quite well. He's very active on the various online discussion lists about hot docs and LawHelp Interactive, and an amazing resource. And you've already heard from Claudia Johnson, who is the project manager for LawHelp Interactive, and she'll be part of all these calls and helping out with some of the behind-the-scenes preparations and support. And her colleague, Miranda McGinley, who is not here today, but will be with us most of the remaining calls. So we're trying to do this course in 2 modes. One is the one you're presently in, which is a synchronous cohort of trainees. We have about 24 trainees, we believe, who are taking this together with us in a coordinated fashion like you. And then we also have the materials available for people who want to use this course purely in a self-directed, on your own pace schedule. So as you're looking at the materials and you're wondering why things are organized the way they are, that's part of the reason. We want to be able to support both modes. But right now what I'd like to do is give each of you a chance to say hi to us and to each other. And I'm just going to go through the GoToMeeting listing, which is alphabetical by first name. And I'm going to unmute people and ask you to briefly say who you are, where you are, and maybe a bit about what you hope to do with some of the training that we're about to impart. So I'm going to start with Aaron Varner, who I see is first in my list. Aaron, you're unmuted. I apologize for putting people on the spot if you're not quite ready to do this. But Aaron, if you're audible, say hello and what are you up to? And let's okay. Sorry, Aaron reports he's not plugged in for audio, so we'll leave Aaron alone. Let me move to Cindy Fernandez. And Cindy, if you are able to talk, please introduce yourself. Another person who's not audible. Sorry about that. I'm going to move to David Rodrigo Andino. I'm trying to unmute him. There you go, David. We're not having much luck today with being able to hear people. David, if you're speaking, we're not hearing anything. You are unmuted. I will move on to Deanna Runk. Deanna, do you want to say hello?
Hi, I'm Diana Ronk. I'm in Iowa at the Judicial Branch.
Diana.
And this is
Excellent.
the second time I've been through this.
Ah, okay. And what do you do at the Iowa Judicial Branch?
I am the project manager for an interactive interview project that we are working on, that we are just about to commence upon.
Excellent. Welcome to the call. Thanks for being audible. I realize not everybody is. We have Dorna Haxhorst from Alaska, I believe.
Yes, let me get you off the speakerphone. Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Oh, cool. This is Dorn Hawkshurst. I'm an attorney in rural Alaska, a town called Cordova. I started my legal career as a legal aid attorney serving battered persons in even more remote areas than where I live for their divorces and other civil issues. I am presently, and have been for almost 10 years now, the forms attorney at the Alaska Unified Court System, where I manage the legal content for about 1,200 forms. I'm about to retire from that position, and I am ready to learn how to create some online forms beyond what little I've learned in that capacity with the court system, and I'm really excited about this opportunity.
Excellent. We're glad to have you, and I was very impressed to read briefly about the 2,000 forms or so that you've worked on and all the usage you're getting. Sounds very advanced in some respects compared to what we're doing in this course. So
yes, but it was a collaborative effort, so I'm only going to take minimal credit for some of that.
Okay, super. Thank you, Dorn. Janine Cavalier, I see you here. I'm going to unmute you, and you were doing something quite similar in Washington State, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I'm the business analyst for the Pierce County Superior Court clerk, and I'm very excited about this project. I wanted to do this project on my own, so I'm glad to be part of the Taft group for the state of Washington that's working on the project.
Excellent. Welcome. We have Jessica Penkoff that I'm unmuting. Jessica, if you can try speaking, let us know.
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
We hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so my name's Jess. I'm the new Pro Bono and Strategic Initiatives Coordinator on staff at Pro Bono Net. I am a former full-time pre-civil legal aid attorney, practiced in eviction defense and disaster recovery. And I'm hoping to learn. This is a new space for me. I'm hoping to be able to work with our partners to create advocate forms that our network of attorney members can use. So yeah, just here to learn.
Excellent. Great to meet you, Jess. Okay, we have Ladidra McKinney. You are unmuted.
Hi, my name is Ladidra. I am in Michigan, and I work for Michigan Legal Help. Unlike many of you, I am not officially an attorney yet. I just sat for the bar in July. I went to a Hot Docs and AJ training at the last TIG conference, so I've been doing some work, especially on the migration from A to J4 to A to J6, and I'm just here to continue to sharpen my skills.
Excellent. Hopefully we'll succeed in doing some of that. I'm going to unmute Lori Garber from Washington State also.
Hi, can you hear me?
We hear you.
Oh, great. So this is Lori Garber, and I'm an attorney at Northwest Justice Project and represented domestic violence survivors and family law actions for about 20 years. And I am transitioning to become the project manager for an online forms project, converting all of Washington State's family law forms into interactive interviews. So working with Mark and Bart and Claudia and Janine to make that happen. And I won't be doing the actual programming, but wanted to understand how it all works. So looking forward to it.
Thank you, Lori. Okay, I'm moving on to Liz Mary.
Good morning.
Liz.
I joined late, and so I am not entirely sure what you were asking us. I'm sorry.
We're just asking you to say who you are. No problem. Just introduce yourself. Where are you? What do you do? And why are you here, in brief?
I am up here in Alaska working for Alaska Legal Services as a native law staff attorney, hoping to learn more about using hot docs. It's a new venture for our organization in the past year or so, and so trying to make some forms up here for our attorneys as well as hopefully tribal partners.
Well, great. Welcome to the call and to the training, Liz. Let's move on to Michelle Yang. Michelle, you're unmuted. And if you're not able to become audible, we'll wait a moment and move on. I'll assume that's the case. We can get back to you. We have Nicole Newman next in line here. Nicole, are you able to say anything?
Can you hear me?
She can. I was going to say you typed in the chat that you weren't audible, but I guess it
I
worked.
wasn't sure if I would be or not. We had to call in. We were having some difficulty with the on our computer, but sounds like you can hear me, so that's great.
We hear you. Yeah.
I'm Nicole Newman. I actually work for a translation company. We do plain language. We are the translation vendor for the Judicial Council of California. I am the senior graphics person here, and I also do translation project management. We work with Deanna Glick from Judicial Council, and we're really interested. I'm really interested in learning more about hot docs in general because we do a lot of work on the forms for the Judicial Council, and so learning the kind of the back end of how things are put together, and also bringing our plain language design and concepts to it and how that can integrate with it. So, excuse me, I'm hoping to just kind of learn a lot about the process.
Excellent. Well, I think you came to the right place. And you briefly mentioned plain language, which I know is a major part of your job, a major part of these projects, which is one of the many things we're not going to be getting into much in this course. As Claudia said, a lot of the broader managerial and structural aspects of projects like this are not really the subject of this training, but they're critical to their success. So welcome. Sarah Carver. I'm trying to unmute you. You seem to be self-muted, so if you can unmute yourself.
Great. I'm Sarah Carver.
You can speak.
Awesome. I'm Sarah Carver. I am also with Alaska Legal Services. I'm both an attorney and the pro bono training coordinator, so I anticipate using these forms hopefully with our tribal partners for both state court cases and tribal court cases, and also potentially utilize the forms and the interviews to help our pro bono attorneys.
Super. Welcome, Sarah. And last on my list, we have Valencia Kaplinski. Valencia, can you speak?
Hi, all. I'm Valencia. I have no legal background. I'm a programmer, and I recently joined the New York State courts. We have many existing programs built on the A2J and Hot Docs platform. But I'm currently working on a program for the new sealing statute that came out last October, and taking this for the hopes of a more formal setting and learning experience.
Excellent. Good to hear you. Welcome. If there's anybody who has come in after we started or has newly discovered they can be audible, raise your hand, or otherwise come to our attention. And otherwise, I'm going to briefly move on to just reviewing the overall flow of the course. And Claudia or Bart or Jessica, feel free to interrupt if something's happening behind the scenes that we should pause for. As I mentioned, because this course is designed to be both a coordinated synchronous training for folks like you and a do-it-yourself training, we've got several different explanations of the content. You guys are mostly going to follow this online training schedule. And this, as Claudia was showing at the beginning, can be found along with other key documents in the LawHelp Interactive Resource Center. This is a subscription service. It's free, but you have to sign up for it. And this particular set of folders is designed to cover this course. And there's one folder for each of the 8 calls, like today, we're going to be having over the coming weeks. And then there's also the training schedule, which I just showed you, and a syllabus. So the training schedule really lays out kind of a flow of work for people that are doing this together. And we've asked you to do a number of things before today. I'm not going to put people on the spot to see if they've actually done all this. But by now, you should have done or started everything on this list. You should have HotDocs installed, because we're going to need HotDocs to learn. You should have signed up for this resource center I just showed you. You should have downloaded the syllabus. There'll be materials that'll be your homework for this coming week. And we're asking you also to be doing several of the self-guided tutorials in the HotDocs material that come with HotDocs. So there's kind of 2 paths of self-guided training going on simultaneously. This is today's call. We're doing introductions, or have done most of them. I want to continue with a bit of a course overview, and then I'm going to turn to what's in store for you for this coming week. But this document really should be your Bible for keeping on track with the course. At the very end of it, there's a nice little graphic that just kind of tries to show the flow. So we have a given call, a group call like this, GoToWebinar call, which is meant to be this inverted classroom idea where we're not presenting content, we're reviewing or previewing content, and doing various forms of general coordination. On your own, in between these calls, you need to watch the recording of the content that's been done by Bart or me or Jessica, and do the associated homework, which is self-guided work using HotDocs or A2J. Then you come back the following week, and the point of the next call is to review that week's homework. We'll call for volunteers to present what you've done, to show your work, and to raise any questions or problems you had doing that for the benefit of other people, and preview the next week's homework. And this is kind of the flow of the course. So I encourage you to just get comfortable with this schedule and get on board. Try to keep up, because it'll be much more meaningful for you and effective if you're on top of the assignments. We've got estimated time here. Depending upon your own pace, it may take you less or more, but there's a decent chunk of work to be done. So give yourself time. Don't wait until Sunday night or Monday night to do the work for the next day, because you won't do it justice. So this is one document, the training schedule, that has the big picture. Associated with this is the syllabus. And this is the document that actually lays out the content of the modules. So we have 8 group calls like this, but there's only 7 modules. They fit in between. And each module has a agenda of topics and links to recordings. So this first module is really introduction. A lot of this will be familiar to you if you've already started the HotDocs tutorials. And we encourage you to listen to the recordings. This one is broken into 2 parts. And pay attention to what's been assigned to the homework to be done before the module. And this generally is consistent with what we just saw in the other document. So one last thing about the syllabus, this is a work in progress. We are still recording some of the later episodes and adjusting the content. So you'll notice some parts of this are not yet filled in as we get beyond the first 2 weeks. One last thing for me to show you is a document, and then I'll stop for some questions or comments. For each week, there's a document that looks like this, materials and homework. And this, once again, gives you a link to the recordings associated with this module and lays out in pretty specific detail what we asked you to do to replicate what we did in the class that was recorded, and to do this in your own environment, step through the process, make sure you feel comfortable with the vocabulary and the procedures that are involved. and so you can join the next class and be ready for discussion. So that's a quick overview of the logistics of this course, and I'm just going to stop and check in with the audience here to see if anybody has a question. Bart or Jessica or Claudia, are we hearing any questions or seeing any hands in the background?
No questions have popped in.
So if you have a question, you can type it into the question pane, or you can raise your hand. Hopefully this means everything is totally clear, or you're totally frazzled and overwhelmed by what we're asking you to do. Hopefully the former.
Mark, you might just want to add that
yes.
when we get to the classes where we're actually talking about the homework that's been done, if everyone could make sure they call in or have some sort of headset or a phone call in, because we do want audience participation or attendee participation.
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you're among those who today are not able to be heard, we'd appreciate it if you found a way to do that. Again, you can dial in if you can't come in through voice over IP. But that's a good point. I'm seeing some notes in the questions. One person said everything is clear. Thank you. That's nice to hear. But Dorn also said that she'd like to see how you insert the list of states on the sample template, and she tried to do that several times. That is covered, I believe, at least in the first or second recording. So if it's not clear in those recordings, let us know. And I think we lay out the procedure for doing that. Okay, and she's saying she reviewed that too, but it didn't work. So, Dorn, you may be a good candidate to volunteer to present the challenges you faced around this in our call next week when we do our review of Class 1. Can I put you down as a volunteer? And maybe in the meantime you will have survived it. Okay, Dorn says yes. So I have my first volunteer. Let me ask you, is there anyone else who's willing to put their hand up? I think we should have at least two for each call, who are willing to show what you did and what, if any, obstacles you ran into in replicating what we do in the recorded session. I should tell you, the early volunteers get it easier because the course gets progressively harder. So if you're the kind of person who would like to have an easy assignment, you should volunteer early.
Do you want to scope out what you're asking them to do? Maybe?
Yeah, we basically just take a few minutes in our next call, a week from today, to be showing your screen and just say, hey, here's what I did, here's how I accomplished the homework, and this is what I found confusing or what I found easy, and if I ran into any trouble. That's what we're asking for. Okay, we have Jessica, who was signed up in the background here. So I put down Dorn and Jessica as our volunteers. The rest of you can reserve your energy for doing this same thing in a later class. But everybody's welcome to raise questions and problems in any class. So no need to stand on ceremony. Okay, I'm trying to think of what else we can cover. We really want to just introduce us to each other, get you guys started, make sure you have what you need. Let me raise Claudia's question again. Does anybody have had any problems getting access to hot docs, signing up for the resource center, any other kinds of technical obstacles you've run into? And it may be the people that are not here are those that have had the most trouble, so we won't know. Yeah. You guys have succeeded in showing up.
Yeah, I've reached out to them one-on-one, but I'm gonna email again. One thing, just to point out that on the 25th of September, which is the 4th Thursday of the month, we do an LHI monthly call, which is if you've signed up for the list, you're gonna get an invite to that. that LHI monthly call starts at 2 and it's going to be technical in nature, and all of you are invited. But just heads up that on that one day, we may end the class a little bit earlier because we're going to need to go and get ready for that. But otherwise, I think that we're planning to do the class from 1 to 2, more and less. And I'm always going to log in a little bit earlier in case people need support or anything like that. But the classes will start at 1 Eastern, which is 10 a.m. Pacific, and hopefully will end circa 2. You're going to see that the webinar goes a little bit over 2 p.m. because we have to do recording, and just I wanted to make sure that we could block it should we go over time.
Okay. Let's have one last call for any questions, comments. Anybody want to say anything or ask anything? Now is the time. We're not going to keep you much longer unless there's anything to talk about. Bart or Jessica, any last minute thoughts, comments, encouragements, warnings?
If you get stuck on any homework, I guess during the week, feel free to reach out to us too. Like, don't kill yourself over Hot Docs or A to J. Where I know I am, and Mark and Bart are always active on the listservs and willing to answer questions. It's better to get the problem resolved early so that you can move on rather than banging your head against a wall for hours. So feel free to reach out.
And I would say try to keep up. Just emphasizing that from what Mark said, that just try to keep up with the homework, and it'll make it a lot easier. Try to catch up later could be a nightmare.
Yeah. I think you will discover it's a very welcoming community. There's 100 or more people around the country now that have been through one or more of these trainings, and it's a very supportive world. So we welcome you if you're not already part of it, and look forward to you producing wonderful things with all the things we're helping to teach you how to do. So with that, Claudia, back to you. Unless you want to say anything, we can wrap this up.
We'll wrap it up. I'm going to process the recording, put it in our YouTube channel, and then store it so that anyone that wants to review it has it here. If anybody has questions that are not related to creative forms, feel free to email me. Through the course or after the course, whenever you're ready, we can start looking at helping you get together a project plan and identify the other things you may need to do to get a good form out there that's really easy to use and that will be accepted across and effective. So just feel free to reach out. But we'll end for today. Thank you, everyone, and we'll tune in next week. We'll start at 1 p.m., but I'll be logging in a little early should anybody need support. But in the meantime, feel free to email.
See everybody next week.